and retrieve more antidote.
Charlie? What's happening? Where are you?
Everything's under control.
I'm sorry, Charlie. I'm so sorry. Please don't tell Poppy it was me they followed.
Don't worry, darling. What happens in Italy stays in Italy.
Thank you.
Merlin, change your plans. Wu Ting Feng, Singapore.
Who?
Exactly. It's the only lead we've got.
So I suggest you find out who he is. Come on.
Wu Ting Feng. He's an assistant at a law firm.
Let's get through their firewall.
Yep.
Minute 95, we get the culmination of the bugging Clara ripples that go through this story. We started with it messing up Eggsy's relationship with Tildy, and then it continues on to help them with the mission. And now, finally, after he said what happens in Glasgow stays in Glasgow, that comes back to after they've had the cure accidentally destroyed by whiskey, and they need to go back up. When I was seeing this in the theater, I was like, oh, that's going to be repetitive. But thankfully for narrative tension, we have an example of Charlie being a real toxic dude. They weren't together, or they were just about to get back together by Glasgow. And, you know, if they were back together, yes, be frustrated that she cheated on you if that wasn't how your relationship was going. But the way he retaliates is after she's saying, where are you? What happened? And saying, please don't tell Poppy that I was the one that brought them there, because they figured that out. And yes, that is a real concern, and she trusts him enough to think that they can talk about it, maybe get past it, or just come to a resolution to their relationship. But instead, he says, what happens in Italy stays in Italy, with that nice little push in and that ominous music in the background showing that his remixing of what Eggsy said, what happens in Glasgow stays in Glasgow, is not as comforting as she should think it is. And he just blows up the whole place. Toxic masculinity to a T, just showing how the bad men in this film have worse habits, how they respond to something like this, or how whiskey is shown to be a womanizer, or sees Clara as object and has the most cringiest one-liners. We get the penultimate version of that here, where Charlie blows up the entire lab, killing everyone, not just Clara, everyone. And now he can blame her or not have any blame himself in terms of bringing Clara there and being responsible for leading them to the cure. Heck, at this point, he doesn't even know if the Kingsmen have the cure. He never tells Poppy that they might have the cure. He just covers his tracks and takes any blame that he might have for that situation and puts it somewhere else. Cleans his hands of any blame so he can't get in trouble. And then after that all happens, Eggsy gives Merlin the information of Wu Ting Feng, the only name and clue he got from that location now that Clara's dead. And Harry's trying to be co-agents with him, still working with him, saying stuff that he naturally would, but in light of what just happened between him and Whiskey, it's coming off wrong. Eggsy's not feeling good about it. And we're getting what I believe is a way to cut out a big portion of that 3-hour, 45-minute cut of Wu Ting Feng and just close. I believe that was an action sequence that we may have gotten that got cut out. And we get different information, like his job title is a legal assistant. His appraisal is Wu Ting Feng is a competent assistant and has really got to know his way around the caseload surprisingly quickly. General notes, he makes sound fact-based judgments. His date of birth is 10/1/1969. I'm not sure if that's formatted with month first or date of the month first. It's not clear with the numbers being 10 and 1. His age is 48. His gender is male. He's unmarried, and he's living in Singapore. PO? China? I don't know what the PO on his stats means. But if it is cutting out a bigger sequence, they do a great job of giving it to Ginger Ale and Merlin to cut through their firewall, hack all that, and get the information of where Poppy is for later in the third act. I think it's a very clean way of just closing that up, especially since this shot where he says, let's cut through their firewall, and she says, yep, is from their back. So they could have ADR'd that in and cut out the bigger scenes and sequences where they're actually invading the law firm in Singapore. But it's a clever way, like how in the first movie, they used Chester King's phone to find the base where Valentine was hiding out at. But that's where I'm at. One last thing is Charlie has a Bose headset. That might be some product placement, but I still think it's a good minute. It is important to remember that without the nature of how they bugged Clara, this wouldn't have happened. You know, if they just had to bug her like Valentine bugged Harry with the nano tracker gel in the wine, which wouldn't have given them audio, it wouldn't have caused Charlie to act like a toxic man and lash out in such an immature way. But that's why ultimately in the big picture I would rather have the bugging of Clara that way than not, personally speaking. But that's what I've got for this minute. I will see you in 96 after we all do what we've been doing to help this series and spread the word in likes, comments, tagging friends on the video platforms of YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, and giving a review on Apple Podcasts. We've got 4 ratings now. I just checked yesterday. We have 4 ratings on Apple Podcasts for this series, well, for the Movies Are Dope podcast. And I'm just feeling really good. I know it's only 4, but hopefully that can snowball and it'll have some kind of effect. Thank you so much, Movie Dopers. I'll see you in the next minute.